Hi, our challenge now is to create a dialog which allows us to put in the first name and the last name of each of our applicants. I'm going to do that by going into the presentation layer, right-clicking, and selecting Add Windows Form. The name that I'd like to give to this Windows form is the Add New Applicant. And again, it's going to be C# in Windows form. My form is very simplistic. I'm simply going to have two labels. So here we go. A label here, which is going to be first, and an associated text box, which should be just to the right of it, which I'll rename. So over here, I'm going to change this to text box first name. I'm then going to copy both of these fields. So Control C, Control V allows me to produce a copy. I'm going to move them, line them up just underneath the previous ones. I'm going to click here outside to make sure neither one is selected. And then for the label, I'm going to replace the text field with last name, or last. And I'm going to change the name property of my text box to text box last. Good. Okay. So at this point, we have a new dialog, but we need to wire it together. Actually, we should probably also add a button here, which just allows us to indicate that we're going to be adding. Yep. Apologies. This will be button add applicant. And then as well as that, I'd like to change the text property associated with the button to be add new applicant. And I'll just stretch it out a little bit. Now, obviously, this is not a very robust user interface. I'm not trying to set any standards here. The concept we're trying to get across here is how to actually create a business layer and a presentation layer where the business layer knows absolutely nothing about the GUI, nothing about the implementation, so our graphics programmers can work totally independently of our business layer developers. Okay, let's wire this together. We're going to go to the main form. We're going to look for the event handler for add new applicants, and the easiest way to do that is simply to double click on it. Brings up our event handler, and at this point we create a new instance. Let's see if I can remember the name of this class. It's add new applicant. So it's going to be add new applicant, and I'll call this my add DLG for dialog equals new add new applicant. Good. And then to actually make it appear, I simply say, hey, dialog, would you please show yourself? Show yourself as a dialog. And I'm going to go ahead and just add in this because we're going to use it for a second. Okay, now if you were to attempt, at this point, if you were to attempt to actually run the application, let's do it and see why it fails. It says, wait a minute, remember that about your business class library can't be started directly? It's very easy to modify the start project. In this case, I'm going to allow the graphical user interface to run first. So here's our presentation layer. I'm right-clicking, and I'm coming down here to Set as Startup Project and clicking. Now if you look over here, you'll see that the bold project, let me just click out of the way, the one that's bold, the one that's highlighted is a presentation layer. And now we can actually run the application, and we can see that it's opened up, and our applicants menu allows us to select the first menu item, which pops up add new applicant, and I can type in Ed, Sheldon, and almost everything's working. But what we'll do next is we'll actually figure out how to wire up the business layer to the GUI layer.